Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is a straight shoot episode centered on Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Night of Champions. Steve, we were texting back and forth yesterday about this. It was a solid event from match 1 to match 6. We saw a lot of run-ins, a lot of very exciting moments, a lot of very exciting bumps. The crowd in Riyadh was arguably the greatest crowd I think we've ever seen, and that's saying something considering the overseas crowds on the build to WrestleMania 41. What'd you think of it? You said that it was a great pay-per-view. You liked every aspect of it. The only thing that I wanted to see was my tribal chief, Roman Reigns, but I'm sure we're going to get there down the line. What are your takes on Night of Champions in Saudi?
Short and sweet, probably one of the best Saudi PLEs. I've seen a lot online of negative reactions on how it was booked, and I'm like, what did I watch compared to everybody else? Because I really thought Saudi was, and Night of Champions was one of the best booked and most entertaining PLEs that we've seen with this entire relationship between WWE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to dive into the matches, but you and I talked heavily going into this PLE about our concerns, about the overall global issues that we saw, and maybe we shouldn't have done this, and I still stand on that. But overall, WWE killed it this weekend. Not one match can I say I did not enjoy. I can nitpick at them, but not one match I did not enjoy. This was a solid PLE. What about yourself?
I think for the first time ever, I'm excited for the WWE to return to Saudi Arabia. I know we're probably going to see Crown Jewel in November, but they're returning to Riyadh for the Royal Rumble this year. I was not pumped about that initially. I'm like, okay, it's a money grab. I get it from the business side, but like the crowds have never really been that into it like the UK crowds have been into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The European crowds are just unmatched. Riyadh yesterday showed me that, like, oh, this is exciting. We talked about it last week, how I personally would never travel to Saudi Arabia to see a WWE show. I think they changed my mind, Steve. I think I want to go see a show in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I think I want to try to get credentialed or find a way to get to WWE World in January in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the Royal Rumble, because I think it's going to be that freaking good. And especially now that CM Punk has apologized to every fan in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for his blood money tweet to The Miz back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's on good terms. Everybody's happy. We were a little bit worried as to whether or not it was going to be a safe show this weekend, with all things considering in the political world this past week.
Yep.
But I'm very excited moving forward for WWE's partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because that crowd yesterday, to me, was unmatched even to the UK crowds earlier this year. The way they were singing Voices, the way they were singing Cult of Personality, the way they sang Kingdom, the CODY RHODES song by Downstate, they were in it from match 1 to match 6. I mean, they were chanting "I love you" to Byron Saxton, of all people, on the pre and post show. Who loves Byron Saxton?
Nobody.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia loves Byron Saxton. I mean, matches aside, Steve, that crowd was unmatched, and has completely changed my entire energy regarding the Saudi Arabia shows.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm sitting here and you're talking about them singing Kingdom, and I'm still getting goosebumps right now just thinking about how, when they kicked off the show, I was very surprised, and this will be a nice segue into the first match. I was very surprised they started with Randy and CODY to kick off the show. I was very surprised, but you knew the main event after that was going to be ridiculous, which we did get a ridiculous main event, but we'll get to that. But right now I can still sit here and think about it and get goosebumps like I did with that crowd carrying it, and they let Randy go. Like, Randy's entrance is long now that people have started singing it, but I'm going to say this Saudi crowd went even with the French crowd. I will say even. I will not say they bested the French crowd. They went on par with the French crowd, and that is a huge compliment, considering where we came from couches and tables in the front row, 6 years ago, to now the crowd having some of the best pops that we see in the year. Saudi, and I want to say to the people in my comments section on my personal channel, you have been great. Like, some of the comments that I've been getting, because I do, when WWE is in a certain city or a certain country, I will tag the city for my clips. I tagged Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for all my clips, and my God, some of the comments were some of the best comments I have gotten. So it's just showing the transition from what we had to what we have now. And I just want to say, I'm on the same planet and same boat with you. January Royal Rumble, if it's in the cards, I'd do it. I'd go. I'd absolutely go. But like I said, great segue into how we kicked off the show with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes for the King of the Ring. First off, we covered the entrances. Incredible. Those entrances, I sat there and I'm just like, I could just watch entrances all night. Like, at this point, I'm good. And we just got the landscape of what we were getting ourselves into for this entire 6-card show. And that was the cool part. It was six matches, 6 almost pay-per-view level matches. I really enjoyed every match that was on the card. We did have the filler with Sami Kevin, but really every match could have been on WrestleMania. So with Randy and Cody, this match delivered. I think the one thing I'm going to say about this entire card, it was very predictable. Like with my predictions, I went 5-1. So that was the one thing. It was very predictable card, but overall, Randy and Cody told a great story, and that's where I'm going to leave it for you to come in. But Randy and Cody told a great story.
I mean, to start that show off, I mean, WWE is known for starting their shows off hot, right? You got to get them invested right away. You had 2 main event worthy matches with Rhodes and Orton and Cena and Punk. Well, you mentioned, Jacob versus Solo, Rhea and Raquel, Sammy and Karrion, you would leave off of that list. But like almost every single match was a WrestleMania worthy match. Mm-hmm. So you have to start off the show where the crowd is already up here. They are amped. Keep them up here. So you have the 2 guys that have 2 of the most singable theme musics in the history of WWE to start the show off with Voices and Kingdom. Mentor versus protege, Randy versus Cody. To me, I wish they would have waited until Randy turned heel and then there was this giant, blood feud between 2 guys that was 20 years in the making. But I digress because it was a great in-ring technical wrestling match. Yep. I don't love how Randy Orton always has to sell his back injury because I always fear that it's real. Yeah. That was like 5 minutes into the match where he hit Cody Rhodes with a suplex off the top rope and immediately his back started seizing up. I'm like, is this real?
Yeah.
Because if it's real, that really sucks. Like, to me, I feel like it's both. To me, it's like he's selling the injury to tell a story, but also like his back probably does hurt on some level from taking all those bumps for many years, having almost career-ending back surgery and was out for 18 months. Like, it probably hurts a little bit. So it's probably a little bit of selling for the story and like, yeah, I'm an old man, and it kind of hurts. But also, it did tell the story, Steve, of what I texted you during that match, because Cody Rhodes did something as a white meat babyface that we haven't seen him do since he returned to WWE back at WrestleMania 38, and that's take advantage of an injury during a match against another babyface that kind of seemed a little heelish. Mm-hmm. Like he wouldn't hit John Cena over the head with the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 41, and that's why he lost the title, because he was too nice. And now his best friend and his mentor, Randy Orton, his back is seizing up, and all of a sudden, Cody Rhodes targeting the back. He's hitting him with punches right to the kidneys. He's taking advantage of a weakness that Randy Orton has. And he ultimately wins the match. I know he wasn't the one that exposed the turnbuckle, but he was the one that took advantage of it in the end by pushing Randy Orton into it and picking up the win, almost using a very heelish tactic. And that was the first time we've really seen that, Steve. So I asked you the question over text yesterday during the match, was this the first stepping stone to them potentially turning Cody Rhodes heel down the line?
Absolutely. And I sat after we text and after the show was done, and I'm like, I'm looking at WrestleMania 42, which I'm very excited for now. It's in Las Vegas, considering everything that we've got going on and the potential. But what I'm looking at here now is everything that we got from Night of Champions. We got the subtleness of a potential opening to a Cody heel turn. We also got, and we'll dig into it more, a subtleness to a John Cena face turn, which is crazy to me because WWE has basically given us John Cena's going to go out as a heel. But now we have two doors have opened. And also, we still do not know where our tribal chief is. So right now, for me, there is a complete swing of we could go into WrestleMania 42 with Cody Rhodes having that beautiful title that you have over your shoulder, over his shoulder, and we could run it back from Philly. And it could be Roman Cody, but Roman as the white meat babyface, our tribal chief, trying to get the title away from this degenerate that we saw as a heel in AEW of Cody Rhodes. I'm so for this if they book it this way. And I don't know, it's just creative long-term storytelling, but I think this is what we expect with Triple H now. So with this match,
I think I agree with you. Just thinking off the top of my head here, I agree with you that's the end game if Cody Rhodes ultimately turns heel, wins back his title, and then a white meat babyface Roman Reigns is the one to take it off of him in their third match at WrestleMania. I see it happening. I don't see it happening at WrestleMania 42, but I could see the long-term game maybe being WrestleMania 43's main event, considering that Roman Reigns is going to have his hands tied with Seth Rollins. And I think that Cody Rhodes has other stories that he could tell with CM Punk. With other people lined up, maybe a Randy Orton face versus heel, or a CM Punk, because they've teased that match since CM Punk came back over the past 2 years. So I think there's multiple stories that are left to be told, but I think Reigns versus Cody, that end game could be long-term story, because if you book it long-term, Steve, you can almost tell the same story. Roman was a tyrant for almost 4 years with the title.
Yeah.
Give Cody a 1.5 year long run with the title after turning heel and winning it back. He'd be a tyrant by that point too. I feel like a 6-month reign isn't long enough to tell that heel story.
Yeah.
Build it up over the next 1.5 years or 2 years. But that's how I would book it.
And this is the funniest part. I would go the exact same route as you. It's just that Seth Rollins is holding on to that Money in the Bank right now. And again, as I said, it was teased on the WWE Undisputed title in the main event of Night of Champions. And that almost seems like that's Rollins' priority right here. So if we can go right to WrestleMania with how I kind of just fantasy booked that, Roman wins it, Seth takes it off him on night 2, and that's how we end night 2 with another heist of the century. We run a full year of Seth as champion, and we finally get Roman Seth at 43, probably in Las Vegas. And that's the culmination of the Shield. Dude, you got to be sitting there how I'm feeling right now. If they could book it that way, I would take that all day long.
It's a good problem to have that they have so many stories that they could tell. All they got to do is press one button and cut one cord. Turn Cody heel, have Seth cash in Money in the Bank. Either way, Roman Reigns is going to main event WrestleMania for the 11th and 12th and 13th time, right?
Yeah.
But there's stories to be told. Where does CM Punk fit into all of this with his current rivalry with Seth Rollins? How do you book John Cena's, end game? To me, I feel like they have an opportunity here. I don't know how it would make sense for Seth Rollins' booking moving forward, but they have a perfect opportunity in the main event of SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium to pull off arguably the biggest double turn that they've ever pulled off, with John Cena turning face and Cody Rhodes turning heel in the match.
That would be so cool. That would be absolutely incredible. And that's where we come out to it. Cody and Randy was a great match, but arguably, and on top, Cody Rhodes, as we all predicted, is going to be King of the Ring. 2 years in a row, Randy loses to King of the Ring final, loses to Gunther last year, loses to Cody this year. I do think we got a tease of a Randy heel turn as well, which I'm very excited for, because a diabolical, excuse my French, Randy Orton is probably the best thing that we could have in WWE, because you just never know when the Viper is going to strike as a heel. Cody being King of the Ring, it was kind of obvious. I'm so glad he didn't wear the crown. That would have taken away from everything that Cody Rhodes is. Yes, I know he's the company guy, but I'm just so glad he didn't wear the crown.
Pretty sure I saw a picture of him wearing the crown, but he didn't do it on camera.
Fair enough. Well, on camera he didn't wear it. But end of the day, Cody is going to the main event of SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium for the WWE Undisputed Championship, whether that is John Cena or whomever he might go up against and potentially lose to, which it's going to be John Cena. Let's be real. Okay. Moving on to a match that was surprisingly one of my favorites of the night, and a lot of people are hating on this match, and I don't like it because it was everything that you and I said going into this was needed from Raquel Rodriguez. Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, street fight. This match was great. It had everything that we needed to show why the tag titles are going to stay in the Judgment Day. Roxanne's probably Monday night when this drops. This is going to drop Monday morning. Monday night, we are going to get Raquel and Roxanne as the new tag champions. Roxanne has come in and now taken the spot in the Judgment Day from Liv, the tag titles, and she's probably going to take Dirty Dom very soon. At the end of the day, this is great booking from WWE going into a situation that they did not expect. The match overall, Rhea, first off, made Raquel look very good. She sold everything. That spot on the top of the table that was in the timekeepers area, for once, scared. I'm not very scared of many bumps on TV. That scared me. Rhea landed so high on the back of her neck. I was concerned that she actually landed like here, but she sold it so well. Raquel on the other side looked so powerful, moving the stairs with ease. It's just the way she held herself around the ring. This reminded me of the NXT feud. And if you go back, there was a moment Rhea had Raquel in her submission and then had a chair in NXT, pulling on the chair, pulling Raquel's jaw up higher. It looks incredible. I don't know if you guys remember that match. I can't remember the PLE it was on, but this reminded me of that match. And these women destroyed each other. The only thing that scared me was the finish, and that's just because they didn't set the table right, but they got it done and made the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." When do you hear the crowd in Saudi chant "This is awesome" to a women's match? I was sold on this match. Raquel is the other dominant force on Monday Night Raw that we needed, and I think there's a lot more opportunity after this match for Raquel.
I think it was the perfect match to have to keep the energy high on the women's side after that Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax last woman standing match from the night prior. Because you got the same brutality, you got the same energy, the same excitement. I almost compare the Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley street fight to the Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest one at WrestleMania. Okay. It was like a filler, like a great filler match to have on the card, but you really didn't have any expectations other than the fact, like, if this is great, we're gonna be entertained. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. That McIntyre Priest match, I was entertained the entire time. That Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez match entertained the entire time. Raquel Rodriguez looked great. I believe Michael Cole or Wade Barrett said it on commentary as well of, you know, because she's been paired with Liv Morgan and has kind of been overshadowed by the Judgment Day, you really haven't seen that vicious side of Raquel Rodriguez lately. You saw it last night. Yeah. You saw it in that match in Saudi Arabia. She looked fantastic, and it's going to be an omen for her moving forward to see where she's going to be placed on the card while Liv Morgan is out. Also with her whole relationship with Finn Balor and the Judgment Day moving forward. And at the same time, with Rhea Ripley picking up a great win in this one, she can go on to bigger and better things. I'm going to assume the Women's Championship in Io Sky for SummerSlam. Yeah. Given that we might potentially see Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the women's title, for the WWE women's title at SummerSlam. So it's a win-win for everybody involved. Raquel Rodriguez reminding the fans of what she was back in NXT in her first run on the main roster, while Rhea Ripley continues to be the dominant face of the women's division.
Yeah, and I think that's all we need to say on it, but I'm looking forward to seeing, considering everything that Raquel has gone through over the last several years, with her autoimmune issue and, you know, really struggling to get back onto the main roster. I'm pretty sure she was close to getting released as well, but now she's sitting there in the conversation of a main eventer, and she established herself, like I said, as that brute force that Monday Night Raw has been seriously missing outside of Rhea Ripley, because even if you turn Rhea heel right now, she's still gonna get pops from the crowd. Like, there's no possible way to turn Rhea Ripley heel, so they need a dominant heel on Raw, and Raquel has just stepped out and said, yeah, I'm still here, guys, which was great. Moving into a match, this might cover 20 minutes of our entire video, so try and keep me on track here, Jack, okay? Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross.
And you think you have 20 minutes worth of material on this?
I'm furious. I am furious with this match. I am furious with this match, because first off, when we talked about it, I said it was a no-win situation for Karrion Kross. He either wins and gets booed because Sami is kind of like the hometown hero, being in Saudi Arabia, being a Muslim. They follow him. He's the guy. And you heard that in the pop for Sami Zayn. Killer Kross loses. Basically, his run that and the push that we've been asking for basically knocks him down 3 pegs, right? We all knew Karrion Kross was going to lose to Sami. My issue is the way he lost. For the better part of the last 5 years, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I know I'm not, WWE, in a rear naked choke or a submission, if someone is going to pass out, has raised the arm once or shaken the arm to check if somebody's out one time, and the match is over. When did we go back to the 3-arm drop? That is so early 90s, first off, or 80s. And Hulk Hogan can Hulk up, or Ultimate Warrior, or Randy Savage can Hulk up on the 3rd and get the crowd back into it. We have not done that for easily 5 years. Look at 2 weeks ago. We had Jay versus Gunther. Jay's arm was raised once and dropped, or shaken once and hit the mat, and that was the match for the world title. When did WWE change the rules? Because I didn't get the notification. This was the stupidest ending to a match I have seen, considering everything that was involved. People are screaming to have Karrion Kross utilized. His contract is almost up. And you play that he basically won the match, but no, we're changing the rules halfway through. Help me out here to understand this, because this, during my stream, I was pissed. When did we change the rules?
I feel like this is a wrestling fan's grudge to hold, because it is a very unspoken rule that not a lot of amateur fans would pick up on, right?
Yeah.
Like, when that happened last night, I was thinking, like, WrestleMania 28, John Cena versus The Rock. They did that, where Cena had Rock in the STF, and he was passed out. They checked it twice, and then on the 3rd one, he got the crowd riled up, right? You're right. When they did it to Jey Uso, there was literally one, and he was out cold. They rang the bell. Last night, it was the definition of a filler match between Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn. That's not something that I feel like most fans would have picked up on, if I'm being honest.
Fair.
You and I did. I definitely did. I'm like, oh, wow, they're doing the 3 thing. I feel like they didn't do that for Jay's match 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it didn't bother me that much, because what this match signified to me, Steve, and what the whole purpose of this match was, to see if Karrion Kross could sink or swim. Because he hadn't been on a PLE in almost 3 years. He hadn't been in a match in God knows how long.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn was always going over.
Of course.
He was the crowd favorite in Riyadh. He's the fan favorite. He wants to have a world title push here at some point. He was the man to beat, and that he was going to pick up the win regardless. And I'm not shocked by the way it went down. You made Karrion Kross look strong with the sleeper hold while he's screaming at Sami Zayn, "I told you so.
Yeah.
Tell me I was right." Sami Zayn mounts a comeback. He's still getting his ass kicked. Karrion Kross runs up against the turnbuckle. He gets caught with a quick haluva kick, and that's it. Like, I have no problem with that finish. To me, did Killer Karrion Kross sink or swim? I thought he swam.
Yes.
And we're going to find out moving forward if WWE's management agrees if he swam by giving him more in-ring opportunities to face guys like maybe an Aleister Black, maybe a Ron Killings, because those would be like the perfect guys to have him feud with and kind of build him up. Because it looks like we're going in that direction with Ron Killings and Aleister Black heading into SummerSlam.
Yep.
Maybe throw Karrion Kross into that mix, put him on SmackDown. Who knows? Who knows what their plans are for Karrion Kross moving forward, given that his contract is almost up, and we have no idea whether or not he's going to be re-signed or not. But to me, the purpose of that match was to have Karrion Kross figure out if he can get over with an in-ring crowd or with the crowd while he's in the ring, as opposed to all of his vignettes and all of his videos on YouTube. To me, they knocked it out of the park. Mission accomplished there. As opposed to looking at it from the aspect of like, ooh, that didn't technically make sense because they checked his arm 3 times, you know? Like, I don't think most people are thinking about that, but I digress.
I'll sit there and yes, okay, maybe I had put a lot of expectation into this match because we finally got one Karrion Kross on a PLE for the first time in 3 years. We have been begging to even just see Karrion Kross in the ring outside of main event, and it just, for me, maybe like I look at all the little details when I'm watching the show. I'm watching the ramp to see if Stu's pointing towards the entrance, like when CM Punk was calling for the referee, and we'll get into that. But Stu had already been standing there for like 5 minutes, like waiting for the right shot. So I look at all those details. Right. So like for me, as either a fan or an analyst or whatever we want to call ourselves, I just did not like that WrestleMania Jey Uso chokes out Gunther, and it was a wiggle of the arm, you know, for the world title on one of the biggest stages, and then just because it was a filler match, they decide to go a different way with it. It's got to be one or the other for me, and that's the one out of like Saudi for me was a great show. That is the one thing I could have talked about all night about how pissed I was about how they booked that. So overall, like you said, digress. Good match. Kross got over. Sammy got over. I'm happy with the performance from Karrion Kross. I'm actually very happy. I was watching Scarlett. She reminded me of Sensational Sherry back in the 90s with Shawn Michaels during that whole transition of remember when Shawn Michaels was like with Luna Vachon and then had all of that and then had the mirror, and then Sensational Sherry had the mirror broken over her. Remember all that? Right. Scarlett gave me Sensational Sherry vibes that entire match. And if you, for me, being an old head when it comes to wrestling, like if you're giving me vibes like that, Sensational Sherry is a Hall of Famer. And she was just in the right spots, right reactions. Everything was just a good vibe. So that was another little key point to that match that I thought really got over, is because when we're talking about Karrion Kross, we have to talk about Scarlett too, because she's under a contract. She's not wrestling. She's just a liaison. They're both there for a reason. So I think everyone got over in this match. So it was good. All right, now let's get into Jacob and Solo, which I think we knew something was going to happen here. We both had a conversation kind of going into this being like, we're going to get something. We're going to get something special in this match. A lot of us believe that Jacob was probably going to drop the title at SummerSlam. I did not think Jacob was dropping the title.
So you went 5-1 on your predictions. Was this the one that you predicted wrong?
No, Rhea and Raquel was the one I predicted wrong. I predicted Raquel winning. I predicted everything else right. I just felt, being that we did get the debut of Hikuleo early and it kind of got leaked that he was on a dark match on SmackDown a few weeks ago. It was basically, we're here now. We're gonna get Solo, the Pokemon trainer of the Tongans and Samoans, coming out with another Pokeball, releasing somebody, and I figured Hikuleo was showing up. Did not expect Tongaloa. Like, it's wild. Like, I just expected Hikuleo to get involved and, you know, Solo get the title. I did not expect the return of everyone's favorite tribal chief, Tongaloa, but I was pleasant.
He'll always be Unico to me, man.
I was pleasantly surprised with this match though, because a lot of people are still so hard on Solo being that he doesn't have aura like the rest of the Samoans. He doesn't have, Jacob's gonna come in and overshadow. Stop. Like, Solo has done everything he has been asked to do for several years, being the shadow, being the wingman, being, you know, the comedic relief when the bloodline broke up and then he kind of had to feud against Roman with the new bloodline. He has done everything to make himself a staple and literally a future world champion. And to see him get the US title, I was so happy because, one, like, I'm a Jacob guy. I am a massive Jacob guy. But seeing Jacob lose in the way he did, we're going all the way back to basically Clash at the Castle where Drew got screwed, you know? And we're running this whole storyline back, but now, you know, Jacob is Drew. Solo is Roman. And look what we got story-wise after that match. Literally 2 to 3 years of beautiful storytelling that we will talk about 10, 20 years from now. So I loved everything about this match.
I'd agree with most of that. I almost looked at it from a perspective of it's the bloodline story from last year, except instead of Roman Reigns chasing the bloodline, it's going to be Jacob Fatu being surrounded by the bloodline now. And a very, like, Hikuleu is what Jacob Fatu was last year. Mm-hmm. He was just like this force of nature that you're like, how the hell are they going to beat this guy?
Yeah.
Hikuleu's like 7 feet tall, man, and he's got like Roman Reigns' shoulders. Like this dude is going to be one hell of an athlete moving forward for the next decade in the WWE if he chooses to stay.
Yeah.
To me, it's like if you wanted to further this story, Solo had to win. I feel like Jacob Fatu beating Solo in Saudi Arabia, like that would have been the end of that feud.
Yeah.
Of course, this is going to last a while, right?
Yeah.
So Jacob screws Solo, Solo screws Jacob with the help of Tonga Loa and now Tala Tonga. I guess that's what we're calling him now.
Yep.
I knew the moment that they didn't mention his name, I'm like, okay, he's getting a name change.
Yeah.
Just like how I thought eventually that they changed Jacob Fatu to Fatu or something else, or how they chose to change it to JC Mateo as opposed to Jeff Cobb. I'm like, okay, Hikuleu's not going to be his name. He had it for one dark match on SmackDown, and they're like, no, this isn't going to work. He's Tala Tonga now.
Yeah.
So now we have Tama Tonga, Tala Tonga, and Tonga Loa to go with JC Mateo and Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
So once Tama Tonga comes back, that is a force to be reckoned with. All three Tongan brothers, Jeff Cobb and Solo Sikoa, and who knows, maybe Jimmy Uso turns and joins that faction as opposed to teaming up with Jacob Fatu at some point. We really don't know which story they're telling a big story now with the bloodline without the actual like needle mover of that whole storyline, but they're doing it on the mid card now, which is kind of interesting.
It is nice because we still don't lose the bloodline. I think this is the first time in decades that we've had this many Samoans and Tongans involved and all relevant in some way, which is great. And I love that it's in the mid card because it doesn't need to overshadow. We had that and it worked well. And now we can take over the mid card, and guys that want to work their way into the mid card have to kind of beat the final boss, which is that Samoan bloodline or dynasty or whatever what we're calling it this year, family, whatever. It's going to be great. My only thing is where does Jacob go? Because Jacob's a force, but I loved watching my stream when this happened. And my stream just popped off being like, oh my God, Zilla debut at SummerSlam, blah, 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 blah. I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I don't think it happens. But this is everything else you see in the background of being a professional wrestling fan if you follow the indies. I don't also see Tama Tonga joining them. Every time with the bloodline that we've seen, there's always been that one brother. We had the Usos and then Solo kind of as that odd one out. We've got Jeff Cobb, we've got Tala Tonga, and then we've got Tonga Loa. We've got 4, right? with Solo. I think Tama Tonga comes back with almost like a jealous, like, oh, you guys forgot about me and added, JC Mateo. Just like Jacob was annoyed that they added JC Mateo. So I think we're getting Jacob.
I did not think about that. When we last saw Tama Tonga, he was very much with side by side with Jacob Fatu as opposed to Solo.
Exactly.
Did not think about that.
So
would he turn? And again, I guess the argument I was about to make was, would he really turn sides on his brothers? But I guess that's what Jimmy Uso's doing with Solo. So
and that's what
who knows what's gonna happen.
And that's what Solo did as well, right? So you never know. But overall, this match, not overly crazy booked, but booked enough, which I think was great because we were able to get, and I think Tala Tonga coming in, Hikuleu coming in the way he did. Again, I'm going with another big throwback. I'm going back to kind of like the Big Show debuting, Kane debuting. Like it gave
Braun Strowman.
Oh,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it gave me that vibe of holy, like we're in for it now. We finally got another big guy that's got a presence. Like Omos has a presence, but he's never really giving you that holy shit. Like this guy could turn the entire roster on their head. No disrespect, because I'm an Homo sapien, but
Omos is just big. Like he's not athletic. He can't move like Jacob Fatu can, or Hikuleu could, or Brock Lesnar, or Braun Strowman. Right? He was just big.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. But overall, we've gone through 4 matches and 4 great matches overall. Jade Cargill versus Asuka for the Queen of the Ring. This was my issue. And you're shaking your head, so you know what? I've let off most of the matches. You can jump on this one first off. Let's hear your either positive or negative on this match.
I thought it was a good match overall.
Yeah.
I just thought, is Saudi Arabia the place to just botch king and queen of the match finishes? I mean, that's back-to-back years now, where Randy Orton was not pinned by Gunther, yet he won the match, and they had to explain it like, well, the referee's decision is final, Yeah. And then this year, Jade Cargill really did not pin Asuka, and that was the end of it. Like, it was a great match that ended in a way where you're like, no one was ready for that pinfall win because A, it wasn't a pinfall victory, and B, you thought like we were at the midway point in this match. Like, you didn't think that almost modified what was Beth Phoenix's finishing maneuver? That's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
Right? I just didn't love the finish. I thought it was anticlimactic. Kind of how Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes' ending to me was kind of anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't think he was going to win with one crossroads.
No.
But he did. It just was anticlimactic. That's the only thing I'll have to say about that, is that it ended in a very weird way and unsatisfying way.
Yeah, and I think we all knew that Jade was probably going to get Queen of the Ring. Asuka's one of those talents that doesn't need Queen Asuka. Like, it's Asuka. Like, she can do whatever she wants. She's a bona fide legend across the world. Jade is got that she's coming up as now a WWE superstar. Like WWE says all the time, it doesn't matter where you come from, it's what you do here. And Jade has really been progressing well. But like you said, this match was good, but it's almost like they cut it short. Like maybe there was a time issue and they needed to find time, so they cut this match short, and it looked like it on TV. Like, I understand cutting time, but not executing it well was one of those ones where you sit there and you're like, well, okay, what the fuck was that? Sorry, what the fuck was that? Like, Asuka, I don't know. It's just Jade slipping off on the pin. What I would have preferred is take the extra 10 seconds. Oh, I slipped off on the pin. Pick her back up, drop her again, get your pose for your pin, and go from there, Or the referee makes a call, say shoulders not up. But I think it's because the camera angle was different than last year, where the camera was on Randy and his shoulder was clearly up. This one, the camera angle didn't show the shoulder up, but we all knew it was. So I see where they went with this, but I'm still, like yourself, I'm not pleased with the finish. I think that was the one thing. The Karrion Kross Sammy finish and this finish were the only two negatives I had on this entire show. And I see we see the same way. So overall, Jade Cargill goes against whoever the champion is going into SummerSlam. I'm not gonna do hypotheticals because we do have Evolution coming up next, which is going to be a very interesting pay-per-view. They started referencing it a little bit more during the King and Queen of the Ring, so I like the idea of where we're going with this. Hell, we might have Naomi or Bianca as champion leaving King Evolution, so it doesn't matter. Going into the Saudi Arabia version of WrestleMania 40 Night 2, because John Cena versus CM Punk told so many chapters and levels of story. I absolutely loved, and I'm gonna let you carry this one in, and I'll jump in when I feel need. But like, what was your overall thoughts on before the last 9 minutes? What was your feeling on this match? How do you feel these guys really told the story?
It was nostalgic. I mean, there were certain moments where you're thinking like, oh, that was kind of a callback to that match. Like, I'll always think of the GTS being reversed into the STF as, you know, a signature moment in that Money in the Bank ladder match. I know that they've done it in almost all of their matches, but like that was very nostalgic to me. CM Punk kicking out of not one, not two, but three attitude adjustments before he even got his finishing offense at all.
Yep.
Like that was interesting to me. I'm like, where are they going with this? You alluded to it earlier of John Cena having moments where you thought like we could see a face turn very soon, sooner rather than later, where he was going to hit CM Punk over the head with the title and then listen to the crowd a little bit and then threw the title away. And that's when CM Punk finally got the GTS in. It was a great match for two guys in their late 40s. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be what it was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the best John Cena CM Punk match, we've already seen it. Yes. And I wasn't expecting a 5-star classic, right? But for two guys in their late 40s who defined an era in WWE, they put on as good of a performance as they possibly could in their final match ever. Yeah. And I'm glad that we finally got to see it, because you are right. It told multiple different layers of storytelling, not only in the CM Punk and John Cena rivalry, but the fact that all of these outsiders got involved. Seth Rollins got involved because he's telling a long-term story with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and CM Punk. Sami Zayn gets involved because he's had problems with Seth Rollins. Penta gets involved because he's had problems with Seth Rollins. John Cena delivering a 330-pound AA to Bronson Reed. We never thought we were going to see it like a mega AA like that again from John Cena, and we almost didn't. I feel like his kneecaps were about to explode from that AA from Bronson Reed. I feel like you can't test that again, but he got that massive AA in. I mean, you told it perfectly. It was, I guess you can call it the Saudi Arabian version of WrestleMania 40 Night 2, even though like nothing will be WrestleMania 40 Night 2. That was just absurd, right? Okay, yeah, Sami Zayn and Penta interfered. They're not John Cena and The Undertaker interfering, right?
That's true.
But like there were moments that told stories to continue them down the line, and then at the same time we saw a one-off classic match from the past that told its own story for one final performance. So it was definitely a fun match, and it ended the way that it had to end too, with John Cena retaining, but in a way that carried on both feuds moving forward.
Dude, I think you just nailed it on the head. I don't even think I need to jump in on that one. I think that match, like I said, told many chapters, had many avenues and streets that we could go down in the future. We're definitely going to get an issue with CM Punk and... Sorry, I can just hear the fan. One sec. We're definitely going to dive down that CM Punk, Seth Rollins issue again. Probably come Monday Night Raw, because Punk is going to be absolutely furious with Seth Rollins. The one thing I just do want to catch, has anyone checked on Little Nate? Because that man got yeeted like he was a junior in high school by a full lineman. I have never seen a referee take a bump like that. That was ridiculous.
I saw it coming. Like my vision was like, okay, we're getting the Charles Robinson WrestleMania 24 rewind here of him just sprinting down to the ring with that WrestleMania long ramp. But I'm thinking like, okay, Seth Rollins is calling him to the ring. He's either going to get speared by Roman Reigns out of nowhere,
Yeah.
or someone's coming back. I didn't expect it to be Cena, but Cena just put one shoulder in. It was kind of like a callback to the John Laurinaitis about to ring the bell when Vince sent him, and Cena knocked him out cold, and that's what we saw.
It was beautiful, but I just hope Little Nate is okay. But this match was overall just top tier from a lot of very top tier talent. Like you look at Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, who are going to be, our main eventers for the coming like decade. And these guys to be involved in something so nostalgic, it was just, I just loved all of it. I wish sometimes you, like as a content creator or a streamer, you wish you just kind of just sat back and experienced it just as a fan without having to do an analysis like live. This was one of those matches I just wish I sat there and was like, I just want to take it in. And that was one of those ones because it's in 10 years time, we're still going to be talking about this. But overall, Jack,
CM Punk and John Cena. You got CM Punk and John Cena. You got interactions with John Cena and Seth Rollins, which was one of the greatest feuds of the 2010s. You don't necessarily have to see a match between them before Cena retires, but the fact that, you got to see Cena deliver an AA to Rollins, you got to see him in the ring with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Again, you don't have to tell matches like that over the next 12 dates of his farewell tour, but the fact that we got those moments and they got to be in the ring with the greatest of all time in his last run, like that's enough for me while he continues to tell other stories with Cody Rhodes, maybe an AJ Styles match that we discussed down the line, and who knows who else he's going to face in his final 12 dates.
Yeah, you never know. But overall, Jack, let's get into our full ranking of this PLE, because this was a unique one because I think it changed both of our minds from 6 days ago when we talked about this to how we're talking about it now. How do you rank the PLE?
I give it a 9. I give it a 9 mainly, not just because of the way the show was booked, but how the fans from the kickoff show the day prior into SmackDown on USA, into Night of Champions, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to me, was the best crowd that we've seen outside of the United States. I know you put it tandem with some of the UK crowds. I think that was the best crowd we've ever seen.
That's amazing.
So I give it a 9 because of that.
I'm going a little bit lower. It takes a lot for me to throw a 9, 9.5, 10 out there. I'm going 8.5 out of 10 just because of some of the booking choices, especially in the Queen of the Ring and the Sammy Karrion Kross situation. There was also a couple of spots here and there, but overall, like you look at the double choke slam through the table by Braun and Bronson Reed. Like I'm nitpicking, but again, I go very Dave Portnoy with my rankings when it comes to WWE shows compared to like how he does his pizza. It takes a lot to get into the 9s. Night 1 of WrestleMania 40, that was a 9.25. You know what I mean? So this one, I will give a solid 8.5 out of 10. Shout out the Saudi crowd. Keep doing your thing. Keep making the Western world eat their words when it comes to how we feel about these events. I will tell you right now, I will never judge a Saudi event again until it needs to be judged. But for me, what a crowd, what an event. We move forward to Monday Night Raw, we move forward to Saturday night's main event, and we move forward to Evolution. Jack, plug yourself.
Heel TV on TikTok, at Jack O'Hara TV on YouTube and Instagram. Give me a follow. Come talk nonsense with me. I love talking pro wrestling all day, every day. Come get in my face on things you like, you don't like. It doesn't matter. We're a heel in this game. At Heel TV, at Jack O'Hara TV.
And guys, you guys know where I am. All the stuff will be down in the description below. Keep an eye out for a new segment that we are bringing back between Jack and I. We are going to be doing blind ranking in top 10 form. We did this a couple of years ago on Straight Shoot. We're going to bring that back, and I have a feeling Jack and I are going to get into some arguments. Anyway, guys, like always, be good people.